All right. Hello, beautiful people. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Today is Thursday. So I have been going live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm looking forward to having this be a regular rotation. Let me open this window. I'm burning it. All right. So we are inside of the Wealth by Design series where I wanted to introduce you or reintroduce you to the concept of making a budget and a financial plan that is very individual, that is very intimate, that is very personalized. And today is going to be one of the last pieces in that installment where we talk about owning your budget identity. But before I do that, I love a good recap. So, one thing about it, I'm going to tell you what I said, I'm going to tell you what I'm about to say, and then I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to tell you what I said. And I think that this just helps solidify it. So, one thing about me, I am a teacher at heart, and I don't want to just give you the information. I want to make sure that the information is landing, that it's memorable, and that you can integrate it into your day to day life. Okay. And so for Tuesday, day one, we talked about why traditional budgeting doesn't work. And I used a little bit of hyperbole there because I really want to disrupt this idea that normal budgeting is normal. Because the way that we traditionally do budgeting, it is not working for the majority of people. For at least 80% of people, regular budgeting is not working. And so what I want to say is that budgeting doesn't work. But the reality is, right, if we take a more metered approach and we look at what's actually happening, budgeting isn't working because the majority of people are not using their budget for the right purpose. Your budget is not intended as a tool to stand on its own. And that's how a lot of people treat it. They treat it like something that they create to stand on its own and use it that way. But your budget is a tool that you're supposed to take and then integrate into your life. And that's the part that most people miss. And the three reasons that I realized that budgeting as it stands now was never going to work for my clients is something that I call RDE. And this is restriction, discipline, and exhaustion. And all of these things, they pretty much fall into the same world, but they have their own flavor a little bit. So when it comes to restriction, when I would ask my clients how they felt about budgeting, the number one word they would use was restriction. They didn't want to feel like they were restricted inside of their lives, and so budgeting didn't work. The second thing that came up was discipline, sticking to their budget, even though they're the ones who created the budget. Sticking to their budget was requiring too much discipline, and over time, that wasn't sustainable. Discipline is not a recipe for consistency. And so, because of that, my clients would quietly quit from their personalized budget. And the final thing was exhaustion. When you are, it's one thing to create a budget for when you're happy, when you're feeling good, when you have a lot of energy. That's fine. But what happens when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you've been working too much, when you don't feel like it anymore, when you want to do something else? What happens when your emotions are pulling you in a different direction than the emotions you originally used to create the budget? It doesn't work. It's inconsistent. And so those were the things that let me know we have to find a different way. And that's what I did. On day two, we talked about how do you create a budget that is sustainable inside of your life. So you already heard me talk about the fact that traditional budgeting is used as some type of standalone tool. But the thing that we actually want to do is bring that tool into the fabric of our day-to-day lives. And what does that look like? So for that we use the align method. A stands for get an awareness of what's happening with your finances. And this means the numbers. What are the numbers telling you about how you're living your day-to-day life? And that brings us to number two, L, which is life. Look at your life Identify the friction and the challenges and what is going on inside of the details so that can inform what are the things that you need to do to actually make your budget work. You can't just create these new numbers and think that you're going to actually automatically live by them. You have to create the numbers and then ask yourself, how does this fit inside of the context of my life? The third letter, I, is for identify your uncommitted income. For me and my clients, uncommitted income is probably the number one wealth number. And I recommend that you go back to yesterday's video to learn more about that. G, once you know your uncommitted income, give it a job. Every single dollar should have a job so that your money is working for you. And all jobs are not created equal. So every dollar should have a different categories of jobs so that the job that you give your dollars are diversified. Some of them are working for your self-care, some of them are working for to make you money in the future, and everything in between. And then finally, we want to normalize systems for financial growth. Your wealth is going to be lost if you have to make day-to-day decisions about it. Every single time you have to make a decision that impacts your time, your energy, your wealth, your capacity, you're creating an opportunity to leak all of those things. And so when you normalize a system that makes it automatic or that makes it so that you don't have to think about it, you're going to be increasing your chances of building wealth. And while I would love to get into the conversation about how this operates inside of your brain, I'm going to leave that for another day. Now, today we're talking about owning your budget identity. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And, I want you thinking about when I say own your budget identity, what am I really talking about? What am I really trying to communicate? And I want you to think about that for a second. Just let the wheels turn. What is a budget identity? And the reason that this is so important is because one of the main foundations of wealth is that you have to have an intimate understanding of who you are and how you operate. And that is what has to show up as you're creating these systems that are going to create structure and containment in your life in order to build that wealth and capacity that I'm constantly talking about. In order for you to build those things, you have to have a clear and intimate understanding of who you are and how you operate. And one of the biggest issues that people run into when it comes to their budget is that they are trying to budget based on a sterile idea of what they think a budget should be. So they want to create this perfect unicorn budget, and they do it in two ways. Number one, they're creating a budget based on what they think they should do. This is how people create a budget. This is what a good budget should look like. That's one layer of it. The other layer of it is they're creating a budget based on the most idealized version of who they are. So they're creating a budget that will work during their happiest times, during their most structured times, during their most organized times, but that isn't the time that you need the budget for. So when I'm talking about owning your budget identity, I'm talking about three things. You want to create a budget that's going to work for number one, your personality. Yes, you have an individual personality that should show up inside of the structures that you're creating and building around your budget. Number two, your lifestyle. The way that you live your day to day life should absolutely have an impact on your budget. And then number three, the way that your brain operates. Okay, so I'm going to get into each of those things and help you understand what I'm talking about. So, for personality, right? So, if you are an introvert, you're going to manage your money differently from an extrovert. If you're somebody who loves to be around people, you love going out versus you like staying home and you like being by yourself. The way that you're going to manage your budget needs to be different. The considerations of managing your budget, they need to be different based on what that personality is like. So if you love going out with friends or you love being with people, you cannot try to create a budget that's going to be consistent with somebody who likes staying in. It's not going to work. Okay, you can't be an extrovert trying to create a budget like an introvert. It's going to fail. Structurally, it's going to fail. It was never meant for you. It was never going to work for you. And you have to take that into consideration. Are you somebody who likes to be flashy, or are you somebody who likes to be more modest? You can't, if you're a person who likes to be flashy and that's just how you operate, you cannot pretend that you're a person who likes to be modest. Okay? So as you're creating your budget, you have to take these things into consideration. That doesn't mean that just because you're an extrovert, you spend more money, or just because you like to be flashy, you spend more money. It just means that you are considering that as you're building out your plan, as you're building out your budget. So if you're a person who loves to be around people, instead of trying to operate like an introvert, maybe you host more home parties, or maybe you and your friends rotate between who's going to do the hosting that week or that month. Or maybe you plan one big outing for the month or one big vacation a quarter. But whatever it is, it's something that you're actively thinking about instead of pretending like you're something that you're not. The second thing that you're considering as you're building out your budget is your lifestyle. This is all a part of owning your budget identity so that you can create a budget that fits and works for you. So, as you're owning your budget identity and you are thinking about your lifestyle, I want you to consider, are you a person who has kids or not? Do you have kids or no kids? Because those are completely different considerations and completely different ways that you're going to run your budget. Okay. I want you to consider, do you have a job, or do you own a business, or something else? If you have a job, are you a consultant, or are you a 9 to 5 worker? Do you have to go into the office, or are you a remote worker? How is your lifestyle set up? Are you a student and have a job? Are you a student and you have a business? Are you a student, have a business, and have kids? All of these things make a difference in what your day-to-day life looks like and how you need to manage and operate your budget. Now, I want to be clear, just because I'm saying that there's some aspects of your life may some aspects of your life may require more consideration, that does not mean that they automatically require more money. They might, but I don't want you to conflate those two things. Something that requires more consideration or more time or more energy, that doesn't mean more energy to come up with the plan. That doesn't mean that they have to automatically require more money. And that's something that people often conflate. Okay, so the name of the game is just identifying, how does this work for you, so that you can create less friction. Sometimes it might mean spending more money and sometimes it might not. However, if you're being intentional about it, it's going to cost you less money in the long run. Okay, number 3, and this one is my favorite. I want you to consider, how does your brain operate? Are you somebody who likes to think about the big picture and then break that down into little pieces? Or are you somebody who likes to focus on the little pieces until that starts to create a bigger picture? Or are you like me and you like to oscillate between both ends of the stick? Are you somebody who likes to focus on your long-term goals or your short-term goals? Okay. Or again, somebody who likes to do both, a combination. But the key here is understanding what that looks like for you. I'm a person who I like to create big picture goals. But the crazy thing is, I create those big picture goals but then I forget about them and I don't stick to them. But that's because the only reason I'm creating the big picture goal is so that I can understand how those little components fit into it. And then I want to focus my time and attention there. And then I don't care about the big goal anymore. And then once I focus on the little goal and build up a little bit more, now I'm again wondering, how does this relate to the bigger picture? And now I want to create a new bigger picture that's more connected to the work that I've been doing. Doesn't matter how you operate. What matters is that you know and understand how you operate so that you can leverage it appropriately in your day to day life. Are you somebody who likes to be focused, or are you somebody who struggles to focus? So if you struggle to focus on one thing, maybe you want to have three financial goals going at a time. But if you're somebody who likes to be hyper fixated, maybe you want to focus on one financial goal and put all of your energy and effort into getting as much money into that financial goal as possible over the next 3 months, over the next 6 months, over the next 12 months. Or maybe you want to have three financial goals that you rotate between in the first quarter and the second quarter and the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter be whatever you choose in that moment. Or maybe every single month you're rotating between three, you're juggling three different goals at the same time. You're putting $200 here, $100 there, $75 there. $200 here, $700 here, based on your allocation. That's how I like to operate. I like to work in threes. I want three goals going at a time. I'm focusing on three goals. I'm allocating my money between those three things. And that is what makes me feel like I am accomplishing the things that I need to in the different areas of my life. I don't want to focus on one thing because now I'm feeling like I'm only accomplishing one thing at a time. But you might not operate that way. There is and there is no right way, there is no wrong way. What you have to understand is, what is the way that works for you? What is the way that's going to help you feel that sense of accomplishment so that you feel motivated and excited to keep going? Okay? I know the ways that work for me, and you got to know the ways that work for you. And when we talk about owning your budget identity, you have to take the time to have that intimate relationship with yourself. Take the time to start thinking about, why am I operating this way? Why am I doing it this way? It took me a very long time to realize that I love creating the big picture, but I don't love sticking with it. And that's okay. For a long time, I felt a lot of guilt or shame because I'm not sticking with the big picture plans that I created. And the problem was, there was no need to feel guilt. There was no need to feel shame. What you want to do is understand how you operate and then leverage it appropriately inside of your financial system. And then looking to see, how can I make sure that the ways in which I am operating are constantly serving my highest financial good. And then if it is not serving your financial good, then you might want to go back to the drawing board and tweak it a little bit to make sure that it's working for you. What I want you to understand is, there are no right or wrong answers here. There are no good or bad ways here. The only thing that there are is ways that are either working for you or not. And a lot of times people feel like they should be a certain way, so they're not using their superpowers as superpowers. For me, constantly creating a new big picture is a superpower, because the things that I'm thinking about, they constantly have an opportunity to evolve while I'm building consistently from the bottom up. And eventually, once my bottom reaches the top, it's something that I didn't imagine in the beginning. It's something different, greater, better than anything that I could have imagined at the very beginning. All right. And so with that being said, I'm going to close us out for today. And I want the thing that I want you to leave with this week, understanding that traditional budgeting was never meant to be this thing that is outside of you. Traditional budgeting was never meant to be this thing that is externalized from your life. We treat it like the thing that lives on a sheet of paper or the thing that lives in your inside of your computer, and it's that thing that we do when we want to be productive in our finances. But it doesn't have any impact unless you integrate the thing that's on paper or the thing that's on the screen back into your day-to-day life. It's not going to have the impact inside of your life if it's only living on the computer. So you want to get your budget integrated inside of your life, and then the way that you engage with the budget has to be a way that is authentic and honest for who you are. And once you can combine a life-based budget with an authentic human being, that is when your budget is going to come to life. That is when your accounts are going to start growing. That is when you're going to start to see money inside of your emergency fund, money inside of your investments, and money inside of all the other areas of your life. But not only that, when you stop trying to focus on your budget as some externalized thing, the quality of your life improves because you are forced to focus on the different layers of your life. They are forced to improve. When you focus on your budget, a lot of times nothing actually happens inside of your day to day life. You're just forcing yourself into compliance. You're trying so hard, you're efforting all over the place. It's all about force, and it doesn't work consistently. And instead of making your life better, it makes your mental health worse. But when you get inside of the day to day details of your life and you integrate your budget into it so that you're transforming certain areas of your life to fit the budget that you created, the quality of your life is going to improve because now you're not just working on your budget, you're actually working on your life. And that is what is so exciting to me. And with that being said, y'all already know what it is. You are not helpless, hopeless, or powerless. In fact, you are powerful beyond measure, and you have everything that you need to take your life and your finances to the next level. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.